The Detroit Lions didn't just win, they detonated a shockwave across the NFL. And let's be clear, this was no lucky break or fleeting moment. This was a national stage, prime time, every eye fixed on them, and they transformed Baltimore into their undeniable proving ground. Everyone anticipated the Ravens would dictate the night, but Detroit didn't just flip that script. They shredded it with raw power, surgical precision, and unshakable swagger. This isn't the team you watch hoping for a surprise anymore. This is the team that now forces every single opponent to confront one brutal question. Are you truly strong enough to stand in the ring with them? What electrifies this story is the sheer velocity of the Lions' reputation overhaul. Just 1 year ago, doubts lingered about their capacity to contend with elite competition under the brightest spotlights. Now, they stride into one of football's most formidable stadiums, against a quarterback as uniquely dynamic as Lamar Jackson, and depart with a confidence that feels chiseled into granite. The Ravens unleashed their signature speed, strength, and storied history on them. Yet Detroit appeared to be the side that absolutely owned the moment. That's not merely a victory. That's a direct, uncompromising message to every contender. The Lions can dictate the fight, no matter where the battle is waged. But the true spark that ignited this unforgettable night wasn't solely the final score. It was the masterful way Jared Goff commanded the offense with absolute, unyielding control. He didn't chase flash or invite chaos. He simply delivered precisely what his team demanded, play after meticulous play. When a quarterback exhibits that level of composure under intense pressure, it fundamentally reshapes the entire playbook. And that right there is where the story pivots. Because Goff's serene presence became the bedrock of everything Detroit constructed in this monumental statement-making win. But before we dive deeper into that, make sure you smash that like and subscribe button for comprehensive Lions coverage and all the essential NFL content. Can we push this video past 200 likes? Let's make it happen. Jared Goff didn't just manage pressure, he converted it into absolute control, steering the game at his deliberate, unhurried pace. The astonishing part is how understated his night appeared on the surface, even as it fundamentally altered everything. He finished a clinical 20 of 28 for 202 yards with a pristine 0 sacks, never once succumbing to the temptation of chaos. What's not being emphasized enough is his brilliant use of cadence and lightning-quick decisions to consistently freeze the pass rush, then calmly taking the throw the defense presented without ever forcing a single ill-advised moment. But here's the critical twist. This wasn't merely empty efficiency. Key downs continuously tilted in Detroit's favor because Goff implicitly trusted his timing and leveraged every advantage. When the pocket held firm, he connected with Amon-Ra St. Brown exactly on rhythm. When coverage widened, he deftly fed his outlets, relentlessly keeping the chains alive. Detroit opened drives with undeniable conviction, closed them with unwavering control, and at one point, converted 4 for 4 in the red zone before a late field goal ultimately adjusted the final math. That precisely is how a quarterback transforms a hostile road night into a remarkably calm one. What consistently goes unmentioned is how Goff's unflappable control profoundly unlocked the remainder of Detroit's potent attack. The playbook expanded exponentially because opposing defenses were forced to simultaneously honor both the quick passing game and the dangerous play action. The next question then becomes both simple and incredibly dangerous. If the quarterback operates with such unwavering steadiness, how much more devastating can the run game become when defensive edges soften and safeties are forced to hesitate? Let's now dissect the backfield that compelled Baltimore to absolutely pick a poison. The Detroit Lions backfield, with stunning speed, transformed a challenging road night into an open runway, and the shock was how rapidly the momentum tilted. David Montgomery ran with a bruising force that visibly drained the raucous crowd into a stunned silence, while Jahmyr Gibbs masterfully sliced the edges and ruthlessly punished overzealous pursuit. Every single carry posed the same tormenting question to Baltimore's defense. Do you dare crowd the box and willingly surrender space, or do you maintain depth and helplessly watch the chains move anyway? Here is the dramatic twist that irrevocably altered the entire feel of the game. Montgomery detonated with a 72-yard burst that shattered Baltimore's defensive structure, ultimately finishing with a dominant 151 yards and 2 crucial touchdowns. Gibbs maintained relentless pressure with 67 yards on the ground and 2 additional scores, while also adding critical clean catches that effortlessly converted 2nd and long into highly makeable downs. The truly shocking part is how those consistent gains cumulatively stacked into superior field position and an unstoppable offensive rhythm. Safeties widened, linebackers hesitated. Play action became a severe problem because the run game already was. What consistently gets overlooked is the powerful engine driving those wide-open lanes. Running backs simply do not find daylight unless someone up front is aggressively moving bodies and expertly sealing edges. Detroit's line executed this flawlessly, again and again, until the Ravens' defense completely lost its bite. If this is the consistent performance of the ground game when the quarterback remains calm and the play calls consistently stay on schedule, then the true foundational story unequivocally lives up front. Let us now pull back the curtain and spotlight the offensive line that kept the pocket pristine and decisively pushed the entire night their way. The Detroit Lions offensive line didn't just take the fight to Baltimore. They engaged with unwavering resolve and never once blinked. Penei Sewell anchored the edge with pure, unadulterated force, while Taylor Decker locked down the critical blindside, and Graham Glasgow provided an immovable anchor on the interior. The truly shocking part was how swiftly and completely they drained the Ravens' formidable pass rush of all its ferocity. Before the notoriously loud crowd could even fully rise, the pocket was settled, the running lanes were opened, and Detroit absolutely owned the line of scrimmage from the very first snap to the final whistle. Here is what fundamentally changes the entire narrative. Detroit orchestrated 2 monumental touchdown marches, spanning an incredible 98 and 96 yards respectively, and relentlessly pounded out 224 yards on the ground at a staggering 6 yards per carry. That isn't merely forward movement, that is total suffocating control. Combo blocks seamlessly climbed to linebackers, tight ends expertly sealed corners, and backs exploded into daylight without a moment's hesitation. Every single snap presented a choice the defense simply could not win. Sit deep, and the run game relentlessly gashed them. Creep up, and the precise throw mercilessly punished them. What's largely absent from the conversation is the meticulous coaching detail that truly powered those commanding wins up front. Hank Fraley's offensive line room played with absolutely perfect landmarks and consistently clean hands, and that unwavering discipline unlocked every successive layer of the offense. If this dominant line can maintain that elite standard, the play caller gains the freedom to transform even safe, conservative looks into explosive, game-changing opportunities without inherent risk. Which of course raises the next crucial question. How far can John Morton truly push the offensive design when the front is this firm and the opposing defense is left guessing on every single snap? John Morton masterfully transformed Detroit's road game into an absolute clinic of simple, yet utterly devastating offensive design. Brilliantly using motion, precision shifts, and impeccable timing to keep Baltimore perpetually off balance, and conclude the night having allowed a pristine 0 sacks. Every single play seamlessly built upon the last, from a quick, decisive touch to Amon-Ra St. Brown that perfectly set up a Jahmyr Gibbs pitch, to a daring flea flicker that ruthlessly punished deep safeties, and culminating in a game-icing 4th down play action. Nothing felt random. The offensive flow relentlessly forced the Ravens to defend every single layer, until they were reacting late and desperately chasing momentum. Detroit didn't just win with clever tricks. They utilized precision calls to establish an unstoppable tone that the Ravens could never, ever match. Detroit's defense relentlessly squeezed the field until the Ravens literally ran out of air. Aiden Hutchinson immediately set the tone with a violent, momentum-flipping punch at the ball, knocking it free from Derrick Henry on the spot. Aleem McNeil consistently crashed through protection, turning hurried pressures into definitive finishes. Jack Campbell knifed in for a drive-changing sack that decisively stalled a Ravens rally and served as a stark reminder that this formidable front moves as one cohesive unit. Here is precisely where the night irrevocably tilted for good. The relentless rush generated a staggering 7 sacks and around 30 pressures by expertly marrying disciplined assignments with blistering speed. Derek Barnes executed spy coverage with remarkable patience, expertly closing space and erasing critical lanes before Lamar Jackson could even dream of breaking contain. Trevor Nowaski provided a clean, decisive closer. On the back end, Brian Branch swiftly closed passing windows with quick, instinctive reads, while Terrion Arnold settled confidently after early targets and remained coolly composed. Coverage held for just long enough for the rush to arrive, and the rush arrived often. What absolutely nobody is talking about is just how incredibly prepared this defense looked, snap after meticulous snap. Angles were razor sharp, fits were perfectly clean, and third down calls felt consistently one step ahead of the Ravens. That kind of synchronized execution doesn't happen by accident during a deafening road night. It begins during the week with rigorous hard looks and exact non-negotiable rules, and it manifests precisely when the game hangs in the balance. Which brings us to the hidden edge powering this entire performance. The relentless practice work and situational discipline that consistently transform tight moments into undeniable control. Here's the crucial piece that elevates a mere good win into an undeniable league-wide warning. Detroit meticulously practiced for blinding speed and controlled chaos, then executed on game day with impeccable order and unwavering calm. Mullet Cunningham ran the scout team look, perfectly mirroring Lamar Jackson's unique dynamism, and it showed profoundly in the defenders' precise angles, their explosive closing bursts, and their patient discipline at the mesh point. Dan Campbell's staff drilled rules that held firm under immense noise, so when the pocket inevitably moved and routes broke late, defenders steadfastly stayed on their marks instead of chasing tempting ghosts. The truly shocking part is how those seemingly small moments cumulatively stacked into complete control. A daring special teams gamble nearly cashed in from 67 yards just before halftime, and then the coverage units immediately tightened after an initial shaky return. Penalties did accumulate to 8 total, yet the team's response was characterized by clean communication and smart substitutions that consistently kept the correct package on the field for every single down and distance. Clock management was exceptionally sharp, huddles were crisply executed, and the sideline never appeared rushed, even when the stadium roared for a momentum swing. What is consistently overlooked in all this discussion is just how incredibly portable this distinct edge can truly be. If the practice tempo remains consistently high and the situational work stays this razor-sharp tight games will inevitably tilt in Detroit's favor long before the final drive ever arrives. That foundational consistency now sets the stage for a much bigger question, one that will ultimately define the next few weeks. Can this precise discipline and formidable line strength carry through the defensive gauntlet of Cleveland, then the explosive challenge of Cincinnati, then the reigning champions in Kansas City when the stakes inevitably rise again? And here is precisely where you come in. Who, in your professional opinion, was the undeniable player of the game in Baltimore? And which of these upcoming matchups do you genuinely see as the toughest, most defining test for Detroit? Can this team truly ride this exact formula through Cleveland's suffocating defense? Or will it demand yet another twist in this incredible story to keep this thrilling run alive? Drop your thoughts, your bold predictions, and your most audacious takes in the comments below. And crucially, make sure you subscribe right now so you absolutely do not miss the next thrilling chapter in this unprecedented Lions surge.